Hey, everybody, and welcome back to 15 on the Line. This is a podcast where we take a look inside the prison system through the stories and experiences of inmates and their loved ones. My name is Nakia Ford, and I'm your host. And pretty soon, our co host, D.E. Robinson, will be on the line. We are going to recap the Father's Day episode, and it is going to be good. So let's get D.E. on the line. Hey, D, you're on the line.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going okay. I can't complain. So you ready to get into it?
I am ready to get into it. Let's do it.
So we are doing our Father's Day recap. So what in the recordings that you heard stuck out the most?
Well, I'm a father. I have two boys, and one of them is an adult. But the thing that stood out to me about these interviews is about, the difficulties of trying to raise a child from prison. The challenges that, sometimes with some kids, as you well know, having grown up as a child at some point.
I was a child.
Some things are more enforced face to face. You know what I'm saying? Like your mom or your dad could call you on the phone and be like, you're in trouble when I get home. And you might feel a little something. But if you know, like, you're in Kansas and they're in, like, New Jersey, you ain't trying to hear what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And I think some of that authoritative power gets kind of lost when you're in a situation like this.
Absolutely. I know that I like the parts when they were talking about, what the dreams that they had for their children, because fathers, no matter where they are, parents, no matter where they are, have these expectations or have these visions of what their children were like. And I think Ty, he said that I just want them to have a relationship with God. I want them to, be able to pray and have a relationship with God. And that was most important to him. And CT said, I just want them to be able to get any job they want and travel and do all the things that life has to offer. And I think every parent wants the best for their child.
I agree. I can't think of a person who wants their child to end up in prison. For a real example, I'm holding this little newborn baby in my hand. I'm not going, yes, you're going to go to prison. Yes, you are. You're going to get admitted felonies on your sister. No father does that with a child. None. You know what I'm saying? And so we all want great things, bigger things than ourselves. And, that's kind of a generational with us. You have the father who scraped and scrounged all his life, but he doesn't want his children to scrape and scrounge all their life, And one of the things that CT said was that, he advised that fathers stay encouraged, to pray for patience, because as anyone knows who as a child, patience is paramount.
My mama needed a whole bunch of patience with me. And I think it was Ty who said, for fathers, don't be afraid of failing to be a father to your child.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, like I said, as a father of two boys, and one of them being grown and one of them being a teenager, I understand completely what he means. When you're in a relationship with someone, if you're not married, and you're in a relationship with someone, there's often the chance that the child that you have together will fall by the wayside while the two adults come back at each other over whatever. And unfortunately, I made a mistake with my first son. And because I was so in my own space, and I was really acting selfishly, my son paid for it. I wasn't there for the moments that he needed me to be there wholly. And he grew up with resentment, and I haven't spoken to him in 15 years, I think a little bit because of that resentment that he had. Had I been able to push through regardless and make my son a priority in that way, I don't think we would have had the situation that we have now in our relationship. So, yeah, don't be afraid to fail. It's better to try and miss than not try at all.
Absolutely. And my father was rarely around. And my mom was the disciplinarian. She was the everything. And when I was younger, when my dad did come in town, he was the fun guy, right? But it wasn't, I really didn't look for him for any discipline in my life.
Yeah, and my dad wasn't a disciplinarian. Well, he wasn't there either. My dad was in the military, so he was overseas a lot. So like you, I got all my discipline from my mother. But of course, the men who listen to this will understand that there's only so much a mother can teach a son. There are things that a son needs to learn and grow from dealing with his father. And when he doesn't have that, a part of that development does go missing. And sometimes it's a crucial part of that development that may lead to adverse behaviors and ultimately, unfortunately, either grave or prison.
Yeah, I think that God, everything that God does is decently in order, and there's a reason for a father, and there's a reason for a mother. And when you have mothers, we're to teach and to nurture, and give certain values, and fathers are to protect and give other values. And I think when mothers are put in a position to have to be, quote unquote, which is not true, father and mother, because you can only be one person. She gets out of a lane that she was never supposed to be in. So now she has to be this disciplinarian, and she has to have these masculine traits towards her children, especially her sons, that she wasn't initially supposed to have, right? And so now men grow up with this idea of a woman being very masculine and being a certain way when his mother was forced to be in a lane that she wasn't supposed to be in. And so what do you think about that?
I grew up in a single parent household, me and my sister, my younger sister. And, although there may be some men out there that may be able to acknowledge this, my mother poured, I believe, and through my experience, more into my sister than she poured into me. My sister was much like my mother, and I was not. But as a young man growing up in a household full of women, I wasn't given the ability and in a lot of parts the capability to express my masculinity because it was always suppressed by the fact that this is the woman and the woman is in charge. And some women, I'm going to say it now, you treat baby daddies wrong, because I have come across this now. Good men that are just trying to do the right thing, and women are just like, I don't need no man in my life. I don't need you in his life. I can take care of him on my own. But the truth is, that child still needs the father. If the father's willing to be there, you should let him.
Absolutely, because I have too many friends that, like, I wish my father would have stepped up and taken more of a role in raising me. But I have friends that have had kids with women, and they're not allowing them to be that father figure in their life. And this is not bashing women. This is not a section of bashing women. But I think that when you have children, this is why I never had any kids, because what you do or don't do, it is because what you do or don't do dictates what happens to a kid. You're raising a whole nother person who's going to grow up to mirror what you do, or to say, okay, well, this is how I was raised, so I'm going to do the complete opposite. And so that's a very big responsibility. And I didn't want to have any part in jacking up anybody, because I was jacked up enough. So being a father is a huge responsibility. I tell men all the time, you just don't understand how important having being in your children's life. It doesn't matter if you live in the home, but if you are an everyday presence, whether you're picking them up from school, or you're talking to them on the phone, or sending cards, or whatever it is, if you have that presence in their life, it shapes who they are. If your absence also shapes who they are.
Right. So I would say to single mothers that if you have a child like someone that's in prison and he is desirous to have a connection with that child, encourage that connection. Please encourage that. You don't know how many people that I've come across in the years that have been incarcerated of fathers that are so desirous to see their children, that cry and have cried on my shoulder about the fact that I miss my son or I miss my daughter. Why won't she bring them Why won't she put them on the visitation list? I don't understand. And at the end of the day, fathers, we can hear that our fathers, that goes a long way towards that part of that emotional rehabilitation that's needed. That connection is very important. And I know that sometimes the kid gets caught in the crossfire of pettiness and whatever else may be going on. But the kid didn't do anything to anyone. The child didn't do anything to anybody, so why should the child have to suffer for it?
Absolutely. Like, I was raised by my mother, but I'm a girl. So there are things that I know that I missed out not having a father there. But growing up, knowing how to be a woman and how to be a compassionate person and things like that, she nailed that.
Right.
So what are some of the things that you missed that you wish you would have gotten from your father because he wasn't there?
The hardest part about being me is being me. So I recognize that I'm different. I recognize that my interests are different. My tastes are different. I'm going to give you a quick story right quick. I don't have time, but this is kind of... So I went to live with my dad in Cleveland when I was in my 30s. And we have family in Michigan. So we went to Michigan to go see that family, and we all went to a karaoke bar. I love karaoke, right? So when everybody was selecting the music, everybody was selecting R&B stuff. My dad singing Prince and all this kind of stuff.
You didn't have a show tune. Were you singing show tunes? Did you sing something from Les Miserables?
No, I didn't, but it was close. I sang a song from Harry Connick Jr.
First of all, Harry Connick Jr. is slick. That's jazz.
Yeah, but everybody's looking at me like, what? So when we get back in the car back to Cleveland, my dad's like, everybody was singing Prince and Marvin Gaye. You come with this, why need to the moon? And I'm like, he roasted me, man. And I was like, you just can't appreciate my uniqueness and my difference, right? Just because I didn't fall in line with everybody else, I'm the oddball. And I've kind of always felt like that. I've always felt like that my taste and my differences in the rap city world are different than my family. Mm-hmm. So me and my dad had very few points to connect on, except for the fact that he was in the military and I was in the military. And even in that, there were kind of differences. So I wish that my dad had taken a bigger role in nurturing me in the way that a father can a son, advising me in the way a father can a son, and encouraging me in the choices that I was making at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the one of the things about being a parent is that your children aren't you. And though we give them, though they give us DNA, that we are not carbon copies of them. We have sprinkles of who they are. We might have the same sense of humor. We might have some of the same interests, but that doesn't make us them. And so sometimes they think, okay, well, he's going to be a better version of me, or she's going to be a better version of me. And he or she may not be any version of you. Right. And so as parents, not we, but y'all have to know that, you know what, this person is going, you have been gifted this person for a little time to lead them and guide them, keep them safe, and give them certain godly values, But at the end of the day, you have to kind of guide them on their own path because they're on their own path. And so they might not like the same foods you like. They might like the same people you like. They might not like the same movies you like. But those are the small things. It's the big things that matter.
And it's funny that when my first son was born, looking back in hindsight, what I realized is that I did not take the gift that I was given seriously. I didn't take the responsibility seriously because raising a whole other human being.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
We have 60 seconds.
Yeah, I know. So listen, all you fathers out there, I want to tell you Happy Father's Day. To all you women out there that are mothers, I encourage you to help your children connect with their fathers, especially the ones that are in prison. They need that peace because it's always going to be the missing piece. And it's important, fathers, that you recognize that what you have in a child is the most precious thing that you can have that God has given you, aside from salvation.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
And so my prayer is this. I pray that those who have these experiences with their children would write in, ask God that he would preserve all the fathers in prison and in the world. I pray that they would come together in reconciliation. The word says that he will bring the Father to the Son and the Son to the Father. And this is my ultimate prayer for this day, for this Father's Day occasion. And I thank you all for listening. And once again, the grace and peace be upon you.
Hey, we want to thank Dee for calling in, and we want to thank all the fathers out there for viewing and listening. Continue to watch and continue to share our message and our podcast. And like he said, may God's grace and peace be upon you. Leave a comment and let us know how your father's presence or absence has affected your life. We'd really like to hear from you. You can contact us on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. 15 on the Line is an Abundant Faith Media Group production. Thank you for watching, and be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment.